Hello everyone and welcome to today's IELTS speaking class. My name is Alex and I'll be going through some tips relating to the exam before doing some practice live with students who are preparing for their IELTS exam. So a very warm welcome to all those who are watching the class on Facebook and YouTube. Please do let me know if you are watching the class live. Send me a comment in the chat box. Let me know your name and where you're from. The more people who do get involved in the class today, the more beneficial it will be. So I'm looking forward to seeing as many people getting engaged and doing practice as possible. And I'm also looking forward to seeing as many people watching on YouTube and Facebook as well as possible. So as I say, a warm welcome to all of you. I'm looking forward to seeing how many people from different parts of the world are getting involved. And sorry, I've just received a message that there is another class which is still happening right now. So I'm just going to pause for one moment and then I will be back with you. Okay, I'll be back with you very shortly. Sorry about this. I'm just pausing because I've been informed that there is another Connetics class currently taking place. Okay, hello everyone. Apologies for the interruption before, but we are now up and running. So a warm welcome again to all those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. And also a big welcome to those who are in the class, ready to do some IELTS speaking practice. I will get as many people involved as possible today so that we can practice our skills and get feedback on your speaking. So I can see that we've been joined in the class by Abby. Hello to you, Abby. Mohammed has joined us as well on Facebook. Hello, Mohammed. Abby is watching us from Saudi Arabia. So hello to you. And Tilda is watching us from Facebook as well. Hello to you, Tilda. We've also been joined in the class by Alice, Jeremiah, Jonah, and Golden. So I look forward to doing some speaking practice with these students. So who else is going to be joining us today? I can see Jesnin has joined us on Facebook. Hello, Jesnin. Isa as well is watching on YouTube from the Philippines. So, welcome to you, Isa. Who else will be joining us? I look forward to seeing. Okay, so as people are joining us in the class, and as we're getting warmed up here, let me make you aware of the opportunity that exists for those who are watching us to join us more directly. If you want to get support with your IELTS preparation, direct and focused here at Swoosh English and Connetics USA, then join us on the IELTS Scholarship program. You can sign up today in order to get all the extra support to help you achieve your dreams of living and working in the USA. And if you sign up today, you could get all of this support for free. So just click on the link in the chat box, which I'll be sharing now, and click on the option Staff Nurse if you would like to find out more information about this fantastic opportunity. So I can see that we're being joined by some more students as well. We've got Babu, who is joining us from India. Welcome to you, Babu. Aji is watching us in Kuwait as well. So a welcome to you, Aji. It's always wonderful to see people joining us from different countries around the world. We have a very global, international vibe here, which is great to see. Okay, so Jesse's joined us in the class. Hello to you, Jesse. Look forward to doing some practice with you coming up. So a little bit of a story here. There was a student who's been studying with us for quite a period of time, who did the IELTS exam on 5 separate occasions and was unable to pass it. Now, many people, having done the exam 5 times, would have lost heart, would have lost the desire to keep going, would have felt that it was never going to be for them. But this special student entered the exam room for a 6th occasion and was able to pass the exam. So that was a fantastic story that I was made aware of this week. And I want to give a special congratulations to that student for that resilience, that commitment, that consistency to keep going, to not accept failure as an option. And ultimately, it doesn't matter if you don't pass the first 5 times, if you're able to pass eventually. That's the key, to keep on going. So if you're facing adversity, if you're facing difficulty, if you're thinking, this is something which is too difficult for me to achieve, remember that you will get there if you keep on trying, and you'll only fail if it's the last time that you try. So that's a great story that I heard there, and it just goes to show how dedicated and how committed you guys are. So yeah, big congratulations, and I look forward to hearing more stories of you passing as we move forward. Okay, so let's look at an element of the exam today. And what I want us to focus on is vocabulary and fluency. So one of the challenges that can occur in the speaking test is that you are talking about a topic and then suddenly you forget a word that you need in order to express the idea that you had in your head. So let's have a look at an example of this. The examiner here asked the question, can you describe the place where you live? So the candidate gives a response. Sure, I live in a pretty big house, which has 4 bedrooms and a garden. In the garden, there is, there is, okay. So we've got a problem here. The candidate's trying to describe something, but they can't think of the word. What word do you think the candidate is trying to say? What do you reckon? Looking at the context, what would you surmise, what would you guess the candidate is trying to express here? We're joined by Weng, by the way, from the UAE. Hello to you, Weng. And Anita is watching from Muscat as well. Hello to you, Anita. Okay, so what do you think? Any suggestions in terms of what you think the candidate is trying to say? What word is the candidate trying to think of, do you think, as he or she searches for that missing word? Okay, so no ideas, guys? We're not sure. Let's see, we've got some suggestions. So Jesse, lots of trees and beautiful plants, possibly. That could be it, couldn't it? Gerald, something good in the garden like vegetables. Yeah, okay, absolutely. So clearly the candidate is trying to search for a specific word to describe something in the garden. Jesnin says a fountain. It could be a fountain. Tilda, flowers. Yeah, it could be. KL also says, yeah, a wide variety of flowers. Yeah, so there's a specific word, isn't there, that for whatever reason the candidate cannot remember. And it relates to an object in the garden. So it could be what you suggested. It could be flowers. It could be a fountain. I've got here some other suggestions, a pond, a shed, something in the garden. The question I have for you now is, what should the candidate do next? So 4 options. Do you think the candidate should describe the word before continuing answering the question? So the candidate doesn't know exactly what the word is, but they could describe it. Do you think, so that's option A. Option B, do you think the candidate should say the word in his or her native language and then move on? So say the candidate knows what the word is in their native language, just say that word and then move on to the next idea. Or do you think the candidate should just forget the idea and move on to describe something else? Or finally, do you think the candidate should continue hesitating until he or she can think of the word that he or she is looking for? What do you think? What is the best option for the candidate in this situation? Okay, so Jesnin and Gerald think option A is the best. Jeremiah and Jesse also would go with option A. What do we think? Any other suggestions in terms of which option would be best? Anyone think any of the other options would be better? Tilda also thinks describing the word is the best option. Jesse thinks C could be a possibility as well. And KL and Abby are going for A. As is, NG is going for A as well. So most people are saying A, and that is a good choice. A would be the best way forward. So by describing the word, what you're doing is you're showing your ability to express yourselves effectively, even if you cannot think of the specific word that you wanted to use. Looking at some of the other options, if the candidate continues hesitating, which was the case in option D, then they will lose marks for fluency. If they forget the idea and move on, which was option C, then they could risk losing marks for coherence. You start an idea, then you just abandon it and move on to another idea, then it can be the case that your speaking starts to lack coherence. If you go for B and start speaking your native language, then you could lose marks both for vocabulary and coherence, because you're assuming the examiner can speak your native language. Of course, this is a test of English, so you should not assume that. And so obviously that would be a bad strategy. So good, A would be the best option going forward. So how can we express ourselves indirectly? What sort of expressions can we use to achieve this? Here are some suggestions. So we could use it's a kind of or type of, it's a place where, it looks a bit like, it's used for, it's something you use when. So these are all ways of introducing a word that perhaps we can't remember. So we try to describe it. We try to express ourselves indirectly. Which of these expressions do you think could help the candidate talking about the object in his garden? What do you think? Which might be a good expression to use? Or maybe you have another expression that you could use in order to help to express yourself indirectly. Let me know if you have any suggestions on that. Okay. So there are a variety of options, aren't there, in terms of what the candidate could use. So if it were a fountain, for example, then we could describe it as it is a type of object which produces water. That would be one way that we could describe it. If it was a pond, you could say it's a place where there's water and fish live. If it were to be flowers, then we could say it's a type of plant, but it's colorful. Hopefully we would remember the word flowers, but the point is that, yeah, we could use a number of these expressions in order to express the idea that we are not sure of the word for. And as I say, in doing that, we don't impact our fluency in a negative way because we avoid hesitation, and we show our ability to express ourselves with appropriate vocabulary, even if we can't remember the word we want to use. And the point is that it happens to native speakers as well. Sometimes we forget words, and so that's what we would do in our native language, isn't it? We would try to express ourselves even if we couldn't remember the exact word we wanted to use. So I had this experience earlier today. I was talking to a friend and I couldn't remember the word probation. And for some reason, it just went out of my head. It's like, oh, you know, it's that thing you have to do before you start work when you're on a temporary contract. And that expressed the idea clearly. So it happens to all of us, or most of us anyway. So how could we use these expressions to describe the following? A garden shed, a remote control, a canoe. Share with me a sentence we could use for one or all of these different objects, so we can look at some ways in which we could use this language. So what do we think? For A, B, and C, if we were to use one of these expressions, how could we use them? How could we complete the idea? So let me know in the chat box if you think you can give a description, a clear description of one of these three items. And let's see what ideas we come up with. Just as you're thinking of some ideas, Sienna's joined us, watching from the Philippines. Excuse me. So welcome, Sienna. Okay. So we'll see if any ideas come up for this, but let me introduce you to some ways in which I would approach this. So for A garden shed, we could use it's a place where. So it's a place where you keep tools and other objects you need for the garden. A remote control, it's an object used for turning the TV on and off. Quite a simple one. A canoe, it's a kind of boat which people often use for fitness and adventure. So those are some examples as to how we could use these expressions. So if you're in the exam and you're struggling to produce the specific word for a concept, then do remember these expressions. They could come in very useful. Okay, so we've got some examples now. Jesnin, a type of device which is wireless and have different buttons. Okay, so good, we're going for remote control there. We might want to mention something in terms of how the object it's used in connection with, the television. But of course, we could use remote control for a hi-fi as well, or a stereo. So it could be, yeah, there are multiple objects we could use it with. Gerald, a device we use to tune machine for remote control. So Gerald, we don't want to use the word, so we're imagining, we can't remember the word remote control, so we're trying to describe it in a different way. So we wouldn't use the word itself, but yeah, thanks for your ideas. Jesse, so for a garden shed, we've got a place where you can get shade. Okay, yeah, a place where you can get shade outside of the house would help there, wouldn't it? A place where you can relax outside of the house, but in the garden. Yeah, that would be a useful description as well. Good. Okay, so let's move on then to do some speaking practice today. Let's see if any of the candidates do find themselves in a situation where they can't remember a word, and if they do find themselves in that situation, let's see if they are able to use some of these expressions to help communicate their ideas. Just as a final tip, remember in the exam you should always avoid extended hesitation because it will reduce your marks for both vocabulary and fluency. So using these expressions will help you to show greater fluency and also vocabulary. So if you are in that situation, then do make sure that you use one of these expressions to help you. So we're going to start this week with IELTS Speaking Part 2. So for those who are less familiar with the IELTS, this section will usually last between 3 to 4 minutes. You should speak on a topic for up to 2 minutes. You'll have a minute beforehand to prepare, during which time you are recommended to write down some ideas to help you. So here is the first topic we'll be having a look at today. Let me bring a candidate into the class so we can do some speaking practice together. And I'm going to start with Alice. Hi, Alice. How are you doing?
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Have you had a good week?
I would say so because it's not been very bad, but it's been very chilly.
Okay. We don't like chilly weather.
Not at all.
Fair enough. Okay, Alice, so can you see the topic on your screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Brilliant. Okay, so as usual, Alice, you'll have a minute to prepare your response, and then you should speak on the topic for up to 2 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay, Alice, are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am.
Brilliant. Okay, so please describe an argument that two of your friends had.
Well, I would like to talk about an incident that took place 3 weeks ago. It was at my place of work. Actually, I would say that it was quite embarrassing because it happened at the reception when we had a few we had a few patients waiting to be served. One of my colleagues had been reported by some other members of the team to my boss. There was this concern that every time people go for break, she would call them, and sometimes she doesn't use very courteous words. And it came out like they were very disappointed and very unhappy with her. So when she got to know about it, she has been keeping off, or rather keeping away from them. And every time they try to talk to her, she always responds with a cold shoulder. But what surprised me was that they didn't care whether there were clients waiting. And that actually created a very bad picture for our organization. And unfortunately, as I tried to talk to both of them, none of them could actually listen. And I felt very frustrated that I was not able to help them to stop having the communication of the nature that they were having, because they actually even heard some words that were not very polite, and especially in front of our clients. I thought that probably if it was to happen in the future, I would pull them away from the scene. Probably by doing this would help them to be able to calm down and be able to sort out the issue. However, most of the time you realize that when people are worked up, they will not listen, they don't care what is happening within their surrounding. And I would say that this
Okay.
was a very good example of such a scenario.
Thank you, Alice. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Interesting scenario which occurred. Is this out of interest? Was this a real scenario, or did you invent
Yes,
this?
it is.
This was a real situation. So it always helps when you have a question that you've actually got something to talk about.
Okay, it didn't actually happen the way I have put it across, because there was a meeting between my boss and some of my colleagues. Yeah. And actually there was no incident that took place in front of the client, to be honest. But I know there has been a scenario of people not being able to talk to each other. So yes. I think I would say that I've just tried to create a scenario out of the whole issue.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, exactly. That's the key. So with part two, sometimes candidates struggle because they think, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But yeah, use your imagination. If you've had something that's actually happened, that's great. If you need to exaggerate a little bit in order to give yourself more content, then do that. It's a useful strategy to use in this part of the exam. But yeah, so the thing that I really picked up on, Alice, this time around was your use of idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs. So you talked about the cold shoulder, which was a nice idiomatic expression. Sort out as a phrasal verb. Worked up was another phrasal verb that you used as well. So it was good that you were using a wide range of language. You avoided repetition by using synonyms. So we started off with words that were not courteous. That was a nice bit of euphemism as well. To say that words are not courteous, and then you said not very polite as a synonym, again, to avoid repetition. So that was really good. And there was some variety in tenses as well. So you talked about something that had been reported. So using the past perfect passive there, some complex or less common grammatical structures was great. One more example of that is to pull them away from the scene as well. So there's another idiomatic expression which you used accurately. So yeah, some really good use of language there, really good use of grammar as well. The only grammatical slip that I picked up on was you said at the beginning, one of my colleague. So it's that old expression, one of, where we should use a plural noun form as part of the phrase. But that was the only. So it
should be one of my colleagues?
One of my colleagues, exactly. Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because if it's one of something, it means one of a group. So yeah, okay. the noun should refer to the group. But aside from that, yeah, really accurate and really well produced. I think it's
just
sounding
a question, Alex.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
How do you use the word kept off? I meant to say that they keep off from each other. How do you use the word keep off?
To keep off?
Yes, like when people try to avoid each other.
Okay, so they try to stay away from each other. They try to avoid each other.
Yes, can you use the word kept off?
Not kept off, to keep away from each other. They try to keep away. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, keep off would be in a different context. That'd be more for objects. So if someone tries to touch one of your things, even then, yeah, so keep off my, whatever the object is. But even then you might say stay away from, or yeah, so yeah, keep away would be the expression. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Alice. Yeah, really good stuff. I noticed that the fluency as well, it's sounding a little bit more natural with part two. So yeah, I'm noticing improvements there too. So yeah, good stuff.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, so let's continue then. Let's move on to another topic. And we're going to have a look now at a skill. So I'm going to bring a student in to do some practice on this topic. And I'm going to bring NG into the class. So let me bring NG in. Hello, NG. Are you there? No? No response.
Oh, sorry. It was on mute. So sorry for that.
Don't worry. Don't worry. How are you doing?
I'm cool. Thank you. And you?
Good. Yes, I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Where are you based at the moment?
UK.
Oh, you're in the UK. Have you been part of the class previously?
I have taken part just once.
Okay, on one occasion. And which part of the UK are you in? Remind me.
Devon, please.
Ah, Devon. Nice. Yeah, nice part of the country. Good, good.
Yeah,
Okay, well, welcome back to the class, Angie. Great to have you here. So, can you see the topic on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so you've got a minute then to prepare. You may make notes if you wish, and then you should talk about the topic for up to 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, are you ready to begin?
Yes, please.
Okay, brilliant. So please describe a skill that you have that you can teach others.
Okay, I would like to talk about a skill I acquired some years back, and that's about computer knowledge. I was equipped on this skill by one of the smartest guy in the town in one of the computer center called Globalization World. There are many programs that he taught me. One of them is desktop publishing. So I got thrilled by the way calendars were designed, even invitation cards were being produced. And so I became acquainted with it. Then before I joined nursing, I have already been acclimatized with how to use computer. So with that knowledge, being equipped with it, I can now teach a lot of people. I have taught many actually, but presently I can still teach some group of people, so especially some nurses that are not well equipped or not computer literate. I can teach them, especially it's very skillful to me because most of the things we do in nursing these days, things like informatics in nursing, my care that people are using Epic in nursing, and the world itself is also digitalized. So nurses have to be equipped with all this knowledge of computer. So I can get some people and teach them, and I feel well equipped. I feel happy, and I have the confidence of utilizing digital care for my patients. So that keeps me going, and it makes me to stand out wherever I go. That I am not I'm not alone, you know. So even when others can start.
Thank you, Angie. That's great. So you had a lot of content there, which you were able to produce on the topic.
Wow, the topic was really like, I was like, what is this, man?
But then you had lots of ideas to share on the topic. So yeah, that was really good. So you obviously showed a good level of fluency, the fact you were able to keep speaking and produce so many ideas. Your ideas were coherent as well. Obviously, they were all connected to the skill that you had experience with in terms of computers. There was some nice use of language, some longer words in there. So you talked about being acclimatized. You talked about digitalized environment. Just at the end there is where you talked about, you said it helps you to stand out. So that was a nice phrase to use in that context as well. Yeah, so it was good. There was some organization. You started off with some years back, just to provide a context in terms of time. It's always good to do that because it helps to structure your talk. There were some slips just with grammar, usually with plural forms. You said some group. Obviously, some, if you've got a plural countable noun, you should be using the plural form. So some groups, similar to before as well, you said one of the smartest guy. Again, that expression tends to catch a lot of people out. It's, one of the smartest guys, plural form.
Yeah.
They said all this knowledge of computer, but when you're talking about a countable noun in general, then you'd use the plural form again. So all this knowledge of computers would have been more appropriate there. Yeah, so that was the main slip in terms of plural form. Also, just a little bit on pronunciation. Sometimes your fluency is good, but sometimes the words, some words are a little bit unclear. So just for example, I think desktop, the word desktop, I think was slightly unclear. I mean, it's understandable, but it's just, if you slow down sometimes just a little bit, I think it will help just to make some of the words a little bit clearer. So yeah, that was one example. And then I wrote down the word completely as well. I think again, the word, I could follow it, but just some of the pronunciation just lacked clarity sometimes. So just something to reflect on. But yeah, strengths there are with vocabulary and fluency. So there's some good pillars there to work with.
Thank you. So the desktop, do you mean I should silence the K, or I didn't pronounce the K well, but it wasn't heard.
I think that was it. I think, say that again.
Desktop.
It's the S sound, I think. Yeah, desktop.
Yeah, desktop.
There you go. Desktop. Yeah.
Desktop.
So it's all those consonants together. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Desktop. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Angie. Okay, so we're going to continue with some more practice. Just before we do, for those of you recently joining the class, then you have an opportunity. If you have a goal of working and living in the US as a nurse, then join us today on the IELTS Scholarship Program. We at Swoosh English and Connetics USA can help you to achieve your ambitions, and you could get extra support for free. So click on the link in the chat box in order to find out more information about this, and click on the option Staff Nurse. And as I say, you could receive all of the support, including being able to take part in these classes and get live feedback. You could receive all of this potentially for free. So let's move on. We've got more people in the class who want to practice. So let me bring Lighty into the class now. Just bring her in for our next topic. Hi there, Lighty. Hi, Lighty, are you there?
Hi, sir.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine. And you?
Good. I'm well, thank you. I'm well. Is this the first time you've joined us, Lighty?
No, this is my second class with you.
Second one. Okay. Well, welcome back. And how are you? How are you doing today? You having a good day, a good week so far?
Sir. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good.
Yeah, it's been a good week. Okay, good. Where are you based? Remind me.
I'm in India, Kerala.
In Kerala, in India. Okay, wonderful. Okay, Lighty. So, can you see the topic on your screen at the moment?
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so you've got a minute then to prepare your ideas on this topic, and then you should speak about it for up to 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, Lighty, your minute starts now.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I shared a lot of things with my friends.
Sorry,
Here I would like.
Lighty, are you want to
Okay.
begin now? You have more time to prepare if you want. It's up to you. Do you want to
Okay.
begin now?
Okay. No. I thought my time finished.
No. You have more time. You have more time. Okay, Lighty, are you ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so please, describe a time when you shared something with another person.
Okay. Well, I shared a lot of things with my friends and my sisters. Here, I would like to talk about the few years back during my school days. I shared my notebooks with my one of my friends. Her name is Gina. Still, we are very close friends. One day. She lost her books because she's a basketball champion also. She kept her book in one place, and after that she went for play. But by mistakenly somebody took her book. Then she don't know who took. We searched her book everywhere, but that time. Moreover, that time it's a very precious time because this our exams near close very closely, and so she's the first scholar person in our class. That time she felt very difficult, and so I thought I could share my books with her because she is from my neighborhood. I shared my books. We shared all the topics learned together. Then both of us scored good marks. Then she felt very happy, and she and her family members thanks
Okay,
me a lot.
Thank you very much, Lighty. That's great.
Okay, thank you,
so
sir.
good. Yeah, so first thing is, obviously you're able to keep speaking for the 2 minutes on the topic, which is great. It shows a good level of fluency when you're able to do that. And in so doing that, you use some appropriate language for the task as well. So again, you started off by giving the context, the time context, a few years back. You were using appropriate phrases like close friends was good. You then clearly describes the situation which occurred in terms of losing the notebook. Another expression you used, which was a natural expression, she was from my neighborhood as well. So there was some nice expressions that you're using, some accurate expressions as part of your talk. There was one part where you mentioned something, I think in your native language, and I wasn't sure, was that a place that you mentioned? I wasn't sure. It was earlier on in the talk that you said it was something that I couldn't follow. I thought maybe it was because it was in your native language. I think you were talking about the place where your friend was at the time. Is that right?
Okay.
You don't remember?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't remember.
Okay, no problem. Because if it was, then yeah, it might have been just worth saying, which is a city. Because if there's anything that you ever sort of use your native language to talk about, it's always worth describing what it is you're talking about. So if it's a place, then you could describe the place. That's where the language I was using at the beginning is useful. If you ever say anything
Okay.
for which there is no translation, always describe it just to make it clear to the examiner. But yeah, on top of that, there were just some slips in grammar just to be aware of, Lighty. So you said she don't know who took So obviously stay consistent with the past tense. She didn't know. And then if you use the verb take, you have to use an object. So she didn't know who took it. And then you said her exams very closely, but rather than closely, her exams were very close. So it would be the adjective rather than the adverb to use there. And just in terms of sort of fluency, so you did keep on speaking for the 2 minutes, but there were sometimes hesitations, not long hesitations, but it's just a number of hesitations as you were thinking. And I think what would help with this would be more pausing. So I think if you paused a little bit more often, just as you were coming towards the end of an idea, it gives you just a little bit of time to think what's next. Because sometimes it's like you were rushing just a little bit, and when we're nervous, sometimes we do rush a bit when we speak. We speak more quickly, but as you're rushing, it means that there are more hesitations because you're like, okay, and then. But if you just pause, it'll give you a little bit more time, and so you would actually then find that you were hesitating less frequently. So that's just a little tip that I think might be useful.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. But yeah, thank you very much, Lighty, and well done. It was a good performance.
Thank you, sir.
No worries. Okay, so we're going to move on now to look at part 3. So I'm going to bring in Jessie into the class. Hi there, Jessie.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Yeah, fruitful waiting.
Yeah, doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I said that it was a fruitful waiting.
It was a fruitful, yes, a fruitful wait. Yeah, good.
Yeah, fruitful wait. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
you would not call my name today.
No, yes, we try and find as much space as possible. We started the class a little bit late today, so I'm going to continue on a little bit longer. So yeah, we try to create opportunities where possible. So Jessie, I'm going to bring on the screen a part 3 topic now.
Okay.
For part 3,
it's always challenging for me, Alex.
Well, it'll be good practice in that case, Jessie.
Yes.
Okay, so we can see here some tips in relation to part 3. So let's move on. Let's do a bit of practice. So we're going to be looking at the topic of arguments. And the first question I'd like to ask to you, Jessie, is do you think that it's important sometimes to argue?
I do believe that argument is important because we can know the other person's viewpoint. Because if you don't argue and if you suppress your feelings, that is not a good way. So if you argue in a healthy way, yes, I think it is one way good, and the other person also will know that why did you argue, and what was the consequences, or whether it was my fault or their fault. So it is better. And I don't say that you have to raise your voice while arguing. In a pleasant way, the tone of your voice should lower when you argue.
Okay, and what do you think that people generally argue about?
People, they sometimes they don't have any reasons for argument. They flare up at any point of view. I mean to say that if they feel that if they are not comfortable with a particular topic, they argue. If they think that the work is not done appropriate, they argue. So it depends upon which hierarchy you are. If you are a bigger boss, naturally you will argue with your employee. So I don't know whether they need a reason for that, but can be a genuine reason. I'm not saying that there won't be a genuine reason. There can be a genuine reason for argument. Having said that, it's better to argue in a healthy way.
And do you think that arguments can improve relationships?
I don't think argument can improve a relationship. I can say that it always strains the relationship. I have seen many people, they argue and end up in big fight, conflict. Sometimes it can be physical harassment. So I don't believe in that it can end up in a pleasant way. Yeah. So yeah, I think that argument should never be done, and if it is done also, we should know both the view. It means we have to first discuss before argument. We should discuss and try to understand where is the problem, what is the root cause of the problem, and try to resolve it.
And how do you think people can avoid having arguments?
See, personally, I believe that any argument starts before you think, you talk. So if you understand that other person, why he argued, whether the fault is in your side, or is it a way that he was trying to explain it and you did not understand, because most of the times what happens is, before understanding anything you keep talking, and there the argument starts. So I have seen in many families also, uh, for silly matters they keep arguing. It makes no sense. So we should understand each other, we should talk. The main thing is communication. The communication part should be a proper way to understand each other, sit down, relax. And I personally think that you should not take any decision when you're arguing. Just let it go and then give time, and then following day if you then discuss the same argument, I think the most of the arguments can be resolved.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Jesse. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah, I thought you gave some really good responses there to the questions. Lots of detail, lots of development. Your ideas were coherent, and used some really nice language as well, which anyone who's watching the class, there were some really good examples of natural idiomatic expression. So you use the expression to raise your voice in relation to arguments, suppress your feelings is a really nice expression. Flare up was a nice phrasal verb, idiomatic expression that you used there. There was another example as well. Yeah, to let it go was a nice expression to use. Let it go. You don't have to hold on to something. So some really, really nice expressions that you used. You spoke in a fluent manner. The one thing that I would say is that, again, similarly to with Lighty before, just a little bit more pausing might actually help to make your ideas even clearer. So yeah, so there wasn't any issue with hesitation, but there are just some moments you do say a lot in a short period, which is a good thing in some ways. But if you just slowed it, if you just had a little bit more pausing just between ideas, I think it will help to make your ideas even more coherent. So yeah, good that you got lots of content, but just some like strategic pausing. So for example, you said at one stage, people argue and sometimes it's not for a genuine reason or sometimes it is. And then you went, having said that, which is a really nice linking expression, but if you'd had a pause before then, there's a little pause, having said that, and then a little pause afterwards, then move on to the next idea. It just kind of helps the listener to process what you're saying a bit more easily. So that would have been good. But yeah, lots of really good stuff in there. Another thing that you used, which was really nice expression, the main thing is, so using some really good expressions in there, the main thing is communication was what you said. You said let it go, which I mentioned, which is a really nice expression. Then you said give time, but give it time would be the expression to use there. And yeah, just a final thing, you said arguments should never be done. Slightly, so we wouldn't really use do as a collocation with argument. I think more naturally, argument should never happen. Yeah, would be slightly better. And actually, I said that was the final point, but there's one other thing. You said arguments happen because before you think, you talk, which was very clear, and I followed your ideas. But just an expression which we use sometimes is that people talk before thinking. Is an expression we might use. Yeah. So your way of expressing it was clear as well, but just that's an alternative. Yeah, people talk before thinking as an alternative expression.
Thank you so much for the feedback, Alex.
You're very welcome, Jesse.
Helped me a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Good. Oh, good. Well, best of luck moving forwards. Do you know when you're going to do the IELTS? Have you got any ideas?
Not yet. I don't know when to take because my reading is a challenge. So I'm working on my reading now.
Still working on your reading. Okay. Well, that's the thing. The important thing is to be realistic and take it step by step. But yeah, you did really well, Jesse. So sounds to me like you're making good progress.
Thank you so much, Alex. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. No worries. Okay. So I'm going to bring Jess into the class now. Hi there, Jess.
Hi, Alex.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I really like how Miss Alice and and Miss Jessie talk, they really improve a lot. And here I am still stuck in the same spot.
Don't say that. Don't say that. We've not even practiced yet, Jess, and already you're being negative.
I don't
Let's
know.
see
I'm
how we do.
having a chicken fit when you ask me some question, but whenever I'm trying to speak together with my sister, it comes out spontaneously. I don't know when it comes to the actual practice.
Okay, well, this is it, because there's a little bit more pressure because it's live, but the more you do it, the more that you get used to it. So it's good to have you back doing some practice.
Okay, thank you.
And also as well, like, so you're saying, yeah, we've had some really good practice today, some really good candidates. So I hope you're like noting down little words, little expressions that you've heard some of the others, the other students use, because yeah, you can use them as well, and it can help moving forwards.
Yes, yes. Actually, I'm getting some ideas from the questions that you were throwing at them. And
Good.
then whenever there's a questions for me, I
Yeah.
cannot answer properly. I don't know why.
Just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath, Jess.
Okay.
Take a deep breath, relax, and just go with the flow.
Okay. I'll give it a try.
Good, good. Okay, Jess. So we're going to look at the topic of skills again. This time in the context of speaking part 3. In your experience, Jess, what kinds of skills do people take a long time to learn?
In my experience, actually, I really had a hard time learning analytical skills, especially when it comes to Rubik's Cube. One time, my sister taught me rather, how to fix the Rubik's Cube. And it took me around 2 weeks to complete it because it is one of my dream to fix the Rubik's Cube. And fortunately, I was able to do that with the help of my sister, but it took a long time for me to complete it.
In your opinion, what qualities should an ideal professional have?
I think there's a lot of quality that ideal professionals have. But for me, the one that stands out the most is the respect and also confidence. When you have these two qualities, you can bring a lot of people into your side, and also you can also teach them, and they will also follow your footsteps.
Which qualities do you think are most important in your profession?
I think as a nurse, you need to have patience. We always deal with, aggressive patients and demanding physicians. So, in our goal is to give quality care to our patients the most. So you need to be patient at all time, in order for them to have a good outcome.
What do you think are most important, academic skills or practical skills?
I think that two skills comes together. To be a efficient professionals, you need to have those two qualities. Because if you don't have analytical skills, it's quite hard to follow through the rules and regulations. And also you also have to have a good attitude in order for you to blend with the people.
And what do you think is the best age for children to learn important practical skills?
I think, in my opinion, the best age to learn is when they have what they call this a freedom of choice. It is when you can introduce some skills to them. If example they are interested in that particular skill, you can teach them, then you will guide them throughout it, and then when they will learn it, then you need also to reintroduce another practical skills because it is helpful for them when they will grow old.
Okay, thank you very much, Jess. You did a really good job. How do you feel?
I feel nervous. My hands and feet are quite cold.
You did well though, right? You feel like you did a good job?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, you did, absolutely, you did. So yeah, so you should feel more confident because yeah, you gave some really good responses there. And the first thing I'm going to pick up on are some of the strategies that you were using very effectively. So self-correction, you recognized when you made a mistake in the tenses with teach, and you corrected yourself to taught, which is a really useful skill. And also you gave yourself a bit of time. So at one stage you were trying to think of a specific word and you said, what do you call this? And then you gave yourself enough time so that you could think about what you wanted to say and then express your idea. So those sorts of strategies in the speaking exam are really useful. And the way that you used them was particularly effective. So that was great. Your ideas were clearly expressed as well. There was some nice use of expressions at times. You talked about equality, I think it was, when you were saying the one that stands out the most to stand out was a nice expression to use there. Also, you were talking about use some good expressions in terms of like rules and regulations. And yeah, and just generally the structure was good. So when I asked you about, in your profession, important qualities, as a nurse, you need to have patience, quality care. Obviously, you'd have got that from your profession, but you were using these expressions and you're making use of your knowledge in the best possible way. So I think you've got some really good strategies there, which was good to hear. Just some points. So at one stage you said, when should children learn important skills? You said when they have freedom of choice. I think maybe a slightly clearer way to express that from what you were saying, the idea I got was when they become more independent. Yes, I think was exactly what you were going for there. Yeah. So yes, the idea was there. But yeah, I think, that would have just made it slightly clearer. And also at one point you said, talked about bringing people into your side, but bringing people on side is the expression. Yeah, okay. To bring people, on side. Yeah. You can also talk about getting people on your side. Okay. But yeah, on side or on your side would be the expression there. And just a slight one. So when you talked about, follow, you said to follow to the rules and regulations. So just follow without the preposition to in that case would be correct there. But yeah, but there weren't many slips, there weren't many errors in general. You expressed yourself really clearly, good level of fluency as well. Your ideas were very intelligible and well structured. So really good performance, Jess. You should have more confidence.
Okay. I will try.
Good. Okay, take care, Jess.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you to all those who've participated in today's class. For those who have been watching live on Facebook and YouTube, and also for those who have been involved in direct practice as well. It is the participation of yourselves that makes this class really useful. You've heard students coming into the class saying that they've really learnt from those who've been doing the speaking practice, and that's the idea, is that you can really pick up on some of the ways in which the candidates are using strategies, the things that they've learnt, and the way they can apply those things within the context of the exam and within the context of the practice we do today. So if you also would like to be involved in doing practice in classes like this and to get extra support here at Swoosh English and Connetics, then join us on the scholarship program, where you could receive all of this support potentially for free. All you have to do is click on the link, which I'll be sharing in just a moment, and click on the option Staff Nurse if you want to find out more about this opportunity, and you could achieve your dreams of living and working as a nurse in the United States of America. So thank you once again for all those who have joined the class today. I look forward to doing more practice next week. Until then, take care.